The HiBREW G2 is like a coffee grinder, but it's really not. It's a 3-in-1 machine. It's not perfect, but it's not a bad gadget either. In this video, you'll get to know it. Let's get started. The video will proceed in the usual way. We'll take a look at it from the outside. I'll go over the specifications, explain how it can be used, and of course I have to mention a small flaw as well. Let's dive right in. Let's start with how the device looks. As I mentioned, the HiBREW G2 is not a coffee grinder, even though its name might suggest otherwise, since HiBREW makes coffee machines and coffee grinders. But in this case, they decided to create a 3-in-1 device instead. What does a 3-in-1 device mean? It means that you can grind coffee with it, and you can also use this cup to make smoothies or crushed ice drinks. These are the 3-in-1 functions. Obviously, and probably most importantly for everyone, will be the coffee making, although there will surely be some who buy it just to make smoothies. Let's start with what components make up this device. Well, we have a base unit. The base unit looks like this. This is where the motor is located. On the back, there's a USB Type-C port for charging, and on the front, there's a power button. On the top, there's a clutch that rotates the shaft on the attachments. We have a coffee grinder attachment, and inside it, there's a reducer. This has several functions, which I'll talk about later. And there's also the jug, which we can use to make smoothies. And of course, it's also meant for making slushies. With this jug, you also get a lid that you can screw on, so you can take your prepared smoothie with you. Well, that's pretty much it. Besides that, the package includes a USB cable and a small cleaning brush, nothing else. As you can see, the exterior is actually not too complicated. The base unit actually has this strange green color, giving the whole thing a bit of a military vibe. I don't know why. Maybe they thought it would look more serious this way, but in any case, I wouldn't call it ugly. It's very important, and here I'll start getting into the specifications, that the machine is equipped with several safety features. One of these safety features is a small micro switch up here in this part, which ensures that the device can only start if one of the attachments is in place. This is one of the safety features. Another is that to prevent accidental activation, the manufacturer has ensured that the machine won't start with just a single press of the button. You have to press it twice to turn it on. I can show you this as well. If I put the lid on, the blue LED flashes twice. And with 2 presses of the button, the blending starts. As for the specifications, this machine has an 18,000 RPM motor with a power of 245 watts, so it's equipped with a relatively powerful and fast motor. This motor is probably brushless, and what's also very important is that it's not too loud, at least by default. Of course, if you attach the coffee grinder, it will make some noise while grinding coffee. Now, I'd like to say that this is a really great device and that it was a pleasure to use, but honestly, it wasn't good to use at all. And I'm not saying that every machine will be like the one I received, but the one that arrived to me simply wasn't good. In fact, it couldn't grind coffee at all. The thing is, for some reason, the shaft between the clutch and the blade was spaced incorrectly. And when I turned on the coffee grinder while it was empty, it worked fine, but when I put coffee in it, it didn't work properly. In fact, it didn't do anything at all. Instead, the LED on the button flashed red 5 times, which indicates that the battery is dead. But the battery wasn't dead. The problem was caused by the blade lifting up slightly when I turned it on with coffee inside, and the coffee bean got stuck underneath. When the blade gets jammed, the LED on the button flashes 5 times, just like it does when the battery is dead. It took me a little while to realize that the problem wasn't with the battery and it wasn't dead, but rather that the coffee attachment had been assembled incorrectly. The solution actually wasn't very complicated. I just shimmed the shaft with a tiny washer. And interestingly, it's been working properly ever since. But what does it mean that it's working properly? Of course, I obviously tested this device as well. For grinding coffee, the manufacturer says that for American coffee, that is for long coffee made with a paper filter, you need to grind for 40 seconds. In the case that you want to make espresso, then it needs 80 seconds. For me, 80 seconds turned out to be a bit too short to achieve the grind size I usually use for making espresso. Well, you could say that's a problem, but at most, you just grind the coffee for 120 seconds instead of 80. It just takes a bit longer. But the main thing is to achieve the right grind size. And then there's this little addition I was talking about regarding usage. It has two functions, but it's absolutely unsuitable for one of them. The manufacturer says that if you put this insert here into the top part, it prevents the grounds from sticking to the sides when you're grinding a smaller amount of coffee, so it won't leave any unground. Well, for me, the grounds still stuck to the sides all around under the plastic insert around here, and it didn't grind them properly. So I suggest that if you want to use the grinder with less coffee, don't put this device in, but instead, while grinding, move the whole coffee grinder around a bit, turn it upside down. So, just like we used to use these coffee grinders in the old days, and then you'll achieve the proper grain size. However, this device has another much more useful function, namely that if you put it on the other way around, you'll get a small funnel, and this funnel is just right for letting the ground coffee go into the portafilter. So from this perspective, this thing actually is good and useful after all. Not exactly for what it was originally designed for, or at least not for one of its intended purposes, but for the other, it's perfect. Okay, that's pretty much all there is to say about grinding coffee. I was talking about the floor. I still need to talk a bit about the blender, although honestly there's not much magic to it since we're talking about a relatively small blender. It has markings here for 200 milliliters and 350 milliliters. The 350 milliliter marking indicates the maximum level, so basically you can make up to 350 milliliters of smoothie with this. I tried making several types of smoothies. My favorite is apple and banana with just a little bit of sugar and some milk. Obviously it turned out well, it became frothy, it blended the fruit nicely and mixed it with the milk. So it turned out really delicious. Honestly, I don't think there's much more to explain about this. Regarding the slushy, I have a couple of comments. First, don't put too much ice in it, and second, if you can, break the large ice cubes into smaller pieces. Because what happened to me was that when I tried to use large ice cubes, they stayed on top of the slush and didn't get crushed. So I ended up with about 2 deciliters of slush and 3 big ice cubes sitting on top. Otherwise, of course, there was absolutely no problem with the slush itself. Making slush isn't too complicated either, since if you put in ice cubes, you can add fruit juice or fruit as well. Just blend together whatever you like, and you'll have a great slush, which will really come in handy during the summer. Well, that's about it. We're really not talking about an expensive device, and the fact that it's battery powered with a 2000 milliamp hour battery makes it a really nice portable machine. It's not too heavy and not too big either. You can pack it with your camping gear and take it with you. You can make really good smoothies and grind fresh coffee without needing a power outlet or mains electricity. So it's not just for home use, but you can use it while traveling as well. It seems pretty durable. Well, there was this little issue, this small problem I had with the coffee grinder part, but that doesn't mean everyone will have the same experience. But I wanted to mention it, so if you happen to run into the same thing as I did, there's no need to panic. The problem can be fixed with a tiny washer. So that's pretty much it for this video. In the description on YouTube, you'll find a link to the written article, as well as the purchase link and a coupon code so you can buy it at a discount. Subscribe to the channel if you liked the video, because there are still very few of you subscribed. Enjoy the summer. The heat wave is here, so go to the beach. Be good and goodbye.